See. All right. Okay. All right. So this Friday's session of Ask Asha is, do you handle your money or does your money, excuse me, do you handle your money or does your money handle you? Okay. So it's December. So it's time to look back over the past 11 months and really ask yourself, do you handle your money or does your money handle you? And if you don't quite like your response to that answer, we're going to talk about some things that you can do so you can learn how to handle your money so your money doesn't handle you. Now, I'm sharing this with you today, but I am by no means a money expert, a money guru. I don't make any claims to being really good with money, but I can share with you some things that I have learned over the past almost decade now as an entrepreneur. Over a decade being an attorney, but almost a decade being an entrepreneur. That's crazy to me. So when I first started out, I handled money in my business kind of the same way as I did in my personal life. Like I was that person that was just terrified to look. I never thought that I either never thought that I had enough, or I was just like confident that there would be enough and I wouldn't look. And then when I would think that I was getting low, I was terrified that I would never have enough and I also wouldn't look, right? Like I just had this really unhealthy relationship with my finances. And I think I told you all, at least in the newsletter, if not live, that it really took until this year in March when I decided to really get it together and do business, do finances. I won't say right because there's no one right way, but to do finances better than I had done them in the past. So I hired a financial coach who helped me just take a snapshot of my personal life finances and help me figure out what were my debts and liabilities, what were my assets, how much money was I actually bringing in, right? Because I've got this full-time teaching job, I've got this law practice side hustle, if you will, right? Sometimes I do speaking engagements, and so I've got these other sources of income. So really, what is my income? And then what do I need to do to set myself up for contributing to my retirement, putting money into savings, paying my bills, and then after all that's done, putting money aside to play with. Because you know me, I love to travel, I love to learn new languages and immerse myself in new cultures. That requires a little bit of bread to be able to do those things. So, and I also have been really focused on the past year and a half, almost 2 years now, on fitness and health and fitness. And I told myself that I would spend whatever money was necessary to get my health and fitness together. Not that I feel like it's ever been like super out of whack, but I personally believe that seriously that health is wealth. And so I wanted to not have finances be a barrier to what kind of workouts and training I could avail myself of. So those were my priorities. Once I got that organization together, then it was much easier to transfer that into my business mindset. So putting on the CFO hat of my business, right? I started thinking again, what are the things that I want to do in my business? Well, I got to pay the bills. I got to put some money aside for taxes. I should probably also put some money aside into another savings account for the big things. Like I have this goal when pre-COVID, I had this goal. Now I'm moving it post-COVID to have a business retreat for my clients and friends of my clients to come on to spend a weekend, an extended weekend together, maybe not quite a whole week, but like 4 or 5 days together in a warm climate where we could have everything, all of our needs taken care of for us so we can create the space to vision in our businesses, put the processes in place, and then go home rejuvenated and excited to actually get to work, right? But that's going to require some savings and some money up front for me to be able to do that. So those kinds of things. So same idea, bills, right? Taxes, and put money aside to do the programming and the savings. So once I started to think about that, I also hired a bookkeeper who I can refer you to if you need that information, who could help me in that process. So here's what I have done, which I think might be helpful for you if you want to do this as well, is one, I always start backwards. I think about what is the life or lifestyle that I want? What is the personal lifestyle that I want? What is the business lifestyle that I want? I want to be able to travel. I want to set myself up for retirement. I want to be able to go out to nice dinners and not think about, is this in the budget, right? What else do I want to do? That was pretty much it. I mean, I just I want to be able to travel and eat, right? And build a business that is thriving and helps a lot of people. So if I'm looking at that, let's say I want to earn, I don't know, $5,000 a month in my business, right? And I know, or let's say I want to take home $5,000 a month, and then I'm going to add, what if the take home pay is 5,000? How much money do I need to earn in revenue to pay for the overhead, the operating expenses, and the taxes? So if I'm trying to keep 5,000, and I'm not a math guru, I should have done the numbers before I jumped on here, but I probably need to pull in like $8,000 or $9,000 in revenue to be able to keep five a month, right? Let's use $9,000. You put 30% away for taxes, that's already 3,000. So now we've got 6,000. And then you could put 1,000 away per month into your savings account for your business stuff that's going to come up in the future. So working backwards, thinking about what is the end goal that you want, and then working the numbers down to see what is the take home pay that you want. What are the expenses that you're going to have to pay? Another good rule of thumb too is to cover about 3 to 6 months of operating costs in your business. Put that in savings. Just like it's the same rule, same principle in your personal life. The goal is to have 3 to 6 months of savings just in case you fall on hard times and you're in between jobs and not able to make money. Could you have enough to continue your lifestyle as you go along? And so you want to think about that same thing in business. What if you don't get any clients for 1 month? What are your operating costs, right? Do you need to, I don't know, maybe your systems and your staff and all that are $2,000 a month. Maybe it's higher than that, so you need to put that money away in savings as well. So looking back on that, maybe that $9,000 number isn't enough. So maybe let's bump it up to $10,000 just to keep the numbers round, right? So, that's what you need. Get to your number, have your number in mind, and then think about, what is it that you are going to do to make $10,000 a month? Are you selling products? Maybe you're selling hamburgers, right? Are you selling a service? Are you building websites for people? Whatever it is, how many of those items do you need to sell? How many new clients do you need to bring on, or recurring clients do you need to bring on to generate $10,000 in revenue? Now, here's the thing. I'm sure you have seen or can easily look up different revenue, different, like, say you have these different charts that people have put out, right? If you want $10,000 a month and your coaching services are $1,000 and you just need 10 clients. So that looks exciting because all you need are 10 clients, right? If you sell at 500, maybe you sell like a pre-packaged course at 500. Now you need 20 clients to get $10,000 a month. Maybe you break it down a little bit more and you have, I don't know, like a 1-hour training that is $100. So now you need, what is that, 100 people, right, to get $10,000 a month, right? So you don't have to be beholden to the price tag. You can think about, what is it that you're selling and what is the volume? Would you rather work to get 10 clients at a higher price, or is it easier for you to sell to 100 people at a lower price point, right? So think about that as you work backwards into your financial numbers. So again, thinking about where it is that you want to be, what is the vision for the lifestyle, and how much is it going to cost to fund that lifestyle, and then add the operating expenses. And so like your monthly recurring expenses and the savings amount you want to put into savings and the taxes on top of that to get to the number of revenue that you need to bring in each month. Okay. Then when you get that number and you start earning money, somebody asked me the other day, how should they, this is also a better accounting question, but they asked me the other day, how should they put the money away for taxes, right? And I would say, one, work with your bookkeeper or your accountant to figure out what works for you. But at the end of the month, if you look at what your total balance is, maybe before you pay your bills, you can put 30% of that into checking or into a savings account or something like that, right? I don't know what happened to my video. I don't know what happened. Hi, Melissa. I think I'm having internet technical difficulties here. So I'm just talking about, first thing I was saying is like, what is the amount of thinking about your lifestyle? What is the amount of money that you want to have, right? Oh, there's my video. And thinking about what is the take home pay that you want, and then adding on top of that, what is it going to cost to run the business to get that? And then what are you going to have to pay in taxes? And so building up to that number and then being able to work backwards from there to say, okay, let's say I need to bring in $10,000 a month because I want to take home five. How many things do I need to sell to get $10,000 a month, whether it's items or services? How much do I need to get or sell to get $10,000 a month, right? And then let's say, so the next step then, once you have it, is to figure out how you're going to manage your finances once it comes in. So with your bookkeeper, I always recommend that people have a bookkeeper unless you are skilled in bookkeeping. But one thing that you can do is at the end of the month, right before bills are due for the next month, is to set up or to take 30% of those earnings for that month and to automatically move it into savings, the savings account that you're building to pay for taxes. So then at the end of the year, the end of the quarter, you won't be surprised and you'll have the money already set aside for what you need to pay for taxes. I think that's a really good idea too. You can do that same thing for whatever other savings goals that you have, and then you can pay your bills from what's left over, or do it vice versa, pay your bills and then, you know, put the remaining into an operating account, into savings. The only hesitation, sometimes I do this with myself personally, is if I don't, the people say pay yourself first, right? So if I don't have the automatic deposit set up to send some money over into savings automatically, then I'll think, you know, I'll forget to do it. I'm like, oh, I got extra money this month. Like, you know, who wants cocktail, right? So that is that is my personal struggle. So I'm just telling you, you can learn from my experience or take it however you want. You might not be the same as me, but pay yourself first is one of the pieces of advice that people give. Okay. And then once you've been in business for a couple months or maybe a couple years, you can start to do projections. Well, this year we earned, you know, $80,000. We're on track next year because our client base has grown to earn $100,000. You can start to do projections out in the future and see what is it going to take for you to scale up to the next level, so that now in December, when you were looking at 2021, you know, okay, well, I have made this much so far and it cost me this much. If I add another team member, how much more revenue should I be able to bring in with that team member allowing us to do more work, right? So those kinds of things, you can look forward into the future and make projections based on that. And I highly recommend, again, I have no certifications in finances. I'm just sharing with you what my experiences are. I highly recommend sitting down with somebody who is your bookkeeper or a financial planner that works with businesses and get the help that you need. Like maybe there are things that you haven't even thought of yet, right? Like maybe you can invest in this thing and after a year, your business can take the money back out of it and that will help you grow your money. But get to the experts. I'm not an expert on this, but get to the experts who can help you so that you will think about what's even possible. In that same vein, I talked about it the other day, knowing how to use your business to really maximize your tax savings. So I'm doing a workshop next week, next Wednesday, December 16th at 11 a.m. with Chika Obi, who is a certified public accountant. And we're talking about money saving strategies that you can use with your LLC right now, right? One of the things that we're going to be talking about is all the different kinds of ways that you can write off business expenses that happen to save you money and taxes. So before I became a professional corporation, I was just kind of like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm out here, I'm a contract attorney, let me just see what happens. But then when I turned my business into an official entity, I started thinking about it like a business and started wearing that CFO hat a little bit more, right? Then I also looked up what are these tax deductible expenses that I can use. So anytime I would meet with my friend and mentor, who's also an attorney, and we would discuss cases or business strategy over dinner, that is a tax deductible expense. So I would use my business card to do it because it's a strategy session and we had food at the strategy session, right? Anytime I would sign up for education, whether it was continuing legal education or maybe it's a bookkeeping class or oh, even for me, I speak Spanish, and every time I travel to a Spanish speaking country, I try and jump into a Spanish class. That becomes a business expense because I have some Spanish speaking clients and want to get more Spanish speaking clients, right? So that becomes a business expense. I've talked about a little bit before too, is retreats, right? You can have a company retreat. You need to be careful that it's not just straight vacation. You need to be able to prove to the IRS that you actually did some business planning on that retreat. But if you wanted to go someplace, and take your team with you, or if it's a retreat for just, the one owner, then that's fine. That becomes a business expense as well. But you do need to talk with a tax professional to make sure that you quantify it and classify it correctly, because I don't want you to get into trouble listening just to me, but they will tell you how you can do it, and do it within the parameters of the law. The IRS code, the tax code really does favor entrepreneurs and business owners and freelancers. That's how people are able to not just get money back necessarily, but to keep more of your income, because it's not everything is subject to taxes, like the meal that you had in your strategy planning session, right? So those kinds of things I think are really, really useful in terms of learning how to manage your money instead of letting your money manage you. So I think that's what I have so far for you. Melissa, do you have any questions, or does anyone on Facebook have any questions? Hi, Sochi. I see you on Facebook. Thanks for joining. Melissa, you could type it in the chat if you had a question too, or you could come off mute if you wanted to. Or if you have no questions, that's okay too. All right. Well, that's what I have for you today. Just to think about, I just want to spark the idea of thinking about learning how to manage your money. Thanks, Melissa. And, again, you don't have to be an expert, but definitely avail yourself of the experts. And the more you learn, the more pieces you ingest, then the more options you'll realize that you have. So again, that thing, most of my friends at this point are attorneys. I won't say that anymore. When I first graduated law school and first started my business, most of my friends were attorneys. So we were talking all the time about what our next move was, right? Especially those of us that had our own practices. So we were meeting all the time on a regular basis, whether it was at a networking event or not. And we were able to use our business accounts to pay for that because it was networking, because it was related to business. So that's a big thing. And if you're in California, food is expensive. So that really helps. Sochi says, when's the best time of the year to set up an LLC? Honestly, I think right now is a really good time to set up an LLC. So if you're in California, if you set up your business within the last 16 days of the year, California will just, the franchise tax board will not assess taxes or make you file taxes for that year. So if you set up your business next Monday or after, next Monday is the 14th, so that'll be within the last 16 days of the year, then California will only look at your revenue and in 2021. They won't do anything for 2020 because you formed your business in the last 2 weeks of the year. So I recommend to people, if you're wanting to start in the new year, then right now or starting next week is a really good time to do that, because you can get everything set up. It's enough time to be able to get everything set up that you will have your information before January 1st, and on January 1st or right after, you can go and open up your business bank accounts and get all the documents that you need. So you're starting fresh in January or at the beginning of the year. Or even if you wanted to wait to actually do something with your business until February or March, there's no harm in setting it up now ahead of time, so then you'll be ready. So a lot of folks that I find end up underestimating the amount of time that it takes to get set up. California now allows you to do it online through their system, so you get an answer much more quickly. But now, especially with COVID, you got to make an appointment at the bank, got to set up the accounts, you got to order your checks or your debit card. That takes a couple weeks to come in the mail. And then if you're setting up systems to process the payment, you need to wait until you have the bank account, to be able to set all of that stuff up. So it's not something that you want to do in a rush, because you do want to give yourself enough time to do it right, and there's no need to rush for that. So yes. So next week, I would say next week forward is a great time to set up an LLC. And then I also have an on-demand course that will teach you how to set up an LLC that I'm running through the rest of December. And then after that, I think it'll only be available in my membership. I haven't quite decided. Okay, another question. Any advice on how to find a good bookkeeper or financial planner? Yes, I can give you some recommendations on Bookkeeper. And so one of the things that I do encourage people, I remember when I first graduated law school, and I would get questions from everybody. I went into medical malpractice initially, and then someone would be like, "Oh, I've got a family law case. Can you help me?" Or, "Oh, I've got an immigration case," or, "Oh, I've got a bankruptcy case." I'm like, I know a little bit about some of that stuff, but I don't know, I'm an attorney that does medical malpractice at that point in time, right? I think I'd done a couple family law cases after that, and that was fine. But I don't know anything about bankruptcy, so I shouldn't handle your bankruptcy case, right? So you want to find, same thing, you want to find a bookkeeper and a financial planner that can help you in your type of business. So the bookkeeper that knows how to do like retail bookkeeping is going to have more skill in that area than someone who is used to working with professional services and then is now trying to take your retail account, right? So because there's different volume needs, there's different types of sales and different price points and all of that stuff. I like to think that mine is pretty easy, but but I don't know if that's true or not, because I haven't done anything but mine. So I would find somebody who works in that area that you were in. Like if you were in construction, find somebody who is a bookkeeper that's used to working with construction and outside contractors and all that kind of thing. Financial planner, I would recommend finding someone who can help you with business financial planning and also personal financial planning. And in my membership that'll launch in January, I am going to bring in somebody who's actually a wealth advisor who will talk about the personal financial planning, but then also how to use your business to grow wealth for you personally and for your families as well. So because the two aren't they aren't disconnected, right? Like the same when I started out talking about the money principles that I use in my personal life, I just transferred those over to my business life. When they were bad a couple years ago, then transferred the same bad principles. When they were good, then I started to transfer better principles into that area. So that's a really good question. I will find some resources for you for that. Bookkeeper for sure. Financial planner, I actually need to find somebody who works with businesses also, because it is a thing. Also, I remember thinking about, reading these books like The Millionaire Next Door and other books, and just doing some research. Most of the really wealthy folks, the top 10 percenters, not even the 1%, the top 10 percenters in the United States have their own business. And it's not that hard to get to that top percentage, especially when you have your own. It's work. And I'm not minimizing any of the struggle, but when you look at the numbers, there isn't that much of a gap between like the top 10%, I think, is earning maybe like $300,000 a year, which is a lot of money. But when you think about being able to do that in a business, it's not so scary. It's not so far off. So a lot of these folks have used their business, of course, to propel them into that top 10%. And I don't know of a lot of people who are in that top 10% who aren't entrepreneurs. And so that's what I want to put in all of our minds, so we can get ourselves up there as well, and then set our families up in generations that will come behind us to be successful in that way as well. So good question. Okay. Well, that is it for me, unless you have something else. Thank you both for asking the questions. If you're watching this as a replay, of course, feel free to put your questions in the chat below and I will get back to them. And other than that, I hope you all have a fantastic Friday, or whatever day it is that you are watching this. And I'm around. Let me know what questions you have. Next week actually is just a general question session. So any questions that you want, not on any particular topic, but next Friday at 1 p.m. California time is just a general Ask Asha session. So you can just come and pick my brain. So that is it. All right, you all, have a great day, have a great weekend, and stay safe.